Power, influence, wealth. Every empire in history was built on these three pillars, but there was one family, a family that ruled not with swords or armies, but with gold, faith, and arts. They controlled popes, crowned queens, and financed genius. They were the invisible hand behind the birth of Renaissance. This is the untold story of the Medici family, the bankers who built the modern world. Our story begins in Florence, Italy in the early 15th century, a city bursting with merchants, artists, and ideas. The Medici were not nobles or warriors. They were merchants selling woolen textiles. But one man, Giovanni de Medici, saw the future not in trade, but in banking. In 1397, he founded the Medici Bank. Through careful deals and smart alliances, it became the largest and most respected bank in Europe. The Medici handled the finance of royals, merchants, and even the Pope himself. And that made Giovanni one of the most powerful men in Italy, though few realized it. He kept a low profile, avoided luxury, and worked behind the curtain. But his true power was influence. The kind that could buy governments, decide wars, and shape destiny. When Giovanni died in 1429, he left behind not just money, but a system, a dynasty ready to rule Florence from the shadows. Giovanni's son, Cosimo de' Medici, inherited the empire, known as Cosimo the Elder. He was not a king, but he ruled Florence like one. The city was a republic governed by elected councils, yet everyone knew the real power belonged to Cosimo. His wealth bought him loyalty. He gave loans to the rich, funded churches for the people, and paid artists to glorify Florence. Those who opposed him often found themselves ruined. Cosimo mastered the art of ruling without wearing a crown, and while his rivals plotted, he built beauty. He funded Filippo Brunelleschi's dome, the crown jewel of Florence's cathedral, a feat of engineering that astonished the world. That dome didn't just symbolize Florence's greatness, it symbolized Medici power, silent, steady, unstoppable. By the time Cosimo died in 1464, he was called Father of the Nation. Florence had never been richer, and the Medici had never been stronger. Cosimo's grandson, Lorenzo de Medici, took everything his family built and made it legendary. They called him Lorenzo the Magnificent, and he earned that name. Lorenzo was more than a ruler. He was a poet, philosopher, and patron of genius. Under his reign, Florence became the center of the Renaissance, a place where art, science, and human creativity flourished like never before. Lorenzo supported the young Leonardo da Vinci, Botticelli, and Michelangelo. He filled Florence with paintings, sculptures, and architecture that still define Western civilization. But not everyone celebrated the Medici's success. Their rivals, the Pazzi family, hated Lorenzo's power. With the Pope's secret support, they launched the Pazzi conspiracy in 1478, a plan to assassinate Lorenzo and his brother, Giuliano, during church mass. The attack was brutal. Giuliano was stabbed to death. Lorenzo, covered in blood, barely escaped with his life. The people of Florence rose in fury. The conspirators were hunted down and executed, some from the very windows of government buildings. And from that day forward, Lorenzo ruled Florence unchallenged. He was no longer just magnificent, he was untouchable. Lorenzo's death in 1492 marked the end of Florence's golden call, but the Medici bloodline was far from done. Their wealth and connections reached deeper into the Vatican itself. Two Medici would wear the papal crown. Pope Leo X, Lorenzo's son, who famously declared, "God has given us the papacy, let us enjoy it." Under his reign, Rome exploded with art and splendor. He funded Raphael, Michelangelo, and the construction of St. Peter's Basilica. Pope Clement VII, a cousin, ruled during the storm of the Protestant Reformation and the sack of Rome in 1527. His politics often failed, but his ambition showed the Medici's reach from Florence's banks to the throne of St. Peter. For nearly a century, the Medici were not only the richest family in Europe, they were also its spiritual rulers. The Medici's influence spread far beyond Italy. Their bloodline in territorial courts, binding Florence to Europe's greatest power. In 1533, Catherine de Medici, the niece of Pope Clement VII, married King Henry II of France. She became Queen of France, and after Henry's death, the regent and power behind the throne. Catherine introduced Italian culture and art to France. She supported thinkers and artists, but also ruled with cold calculation. She was accused of being ruthless, even of orchestrating the San Bartholomew's Day, where thousands of Protestants were killed. Years later, another Medici, Marie de Medici, would also become Queen of France. Through marriage and blood, the Medici had woven themselves into the fabric of Europe royalty. From Florence's narrow streets to the Palace of Paris, their name meant power. But even the mightiest families fall. By the 1700s, the Medici's fortunes had faded. Their banking empire had long collapsed, and their political influence was fading into memory. The last ruler, Anna Maria Luisa de Medici, saw the dynasty's end approaching. Before her death in 1743, she signed a final act of generosity, the Family Pact. It declared that all Medici arts, libraries, and treasures must remain in Florence for the people and for the world. Because of her, the Medici legacy lives on today, in every sculpture of Michelangelo, every painting of Botticelli, and every masterpiece that defines the Renaissance. The Medici family changed the world. They proved that wealth, when guided by vision, could create beauty instead of destruction. They funded the birth of modern banking, the spread of humanist philosophy, and the rebirth of art after the Dark Ages. Without them, there might be no Leonardo's Mona Lisa, no Michelangelo's David, no Florentine Renaissance. They were not saints. They were cunning, ambitious, and sometimes ruthless. But their ambition gave birth to a golden age. Their name may have vanished from power, but their fingerprints remain on the very foundation of Western civilization. This was the rise and fall of the Medici family, the dynasty that ruled through gold, shaped history through art, and wielded the Renaissance with their own hands. Because history isn't just written by kings and conquerors, sometimes it's written by bankers. Thank you for watching Past Unlocked. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep unlocking history's hidden truth.